I'm producing for 4 years and I am on self-improvement for 3 years. Additionally, in last 4 months, I decided to read one new book every single week. And these books right here are the most valuable books I've ever read in my life. Each of them is easily worth 20 other self-help books. By the way, I'm Mordarski and I can help you make your first case selling beats. Okay, so let's get into it. First must read for every producer is this book from Rick Rubin, okay? You could know Rick Rubin, maybe you know. Generally, he's this legendary producer. He worked with like Jay-Z, Snoop Dogg, also with some like very important like figures in the rock music industry, in the rap industry. Generally, guy is complete fucking legend. I will give you a link to his interview with Andrew Huberman. A guy is total fucking G, generally. He's like a real inspiration for me. And his book is called The Creative Act, New Way of Being, probably. Okay, I got the Polish version, but this is name in English, okay? So generally, what is this book about, like roughly? When I started reading, I thought that this is some too much esoteric bullshit, too much like, this soulful stuff that, yeah, be happy, go meditate, do some meditation, and it is not generally on producing, because this is not simply on producing. This is not like sitting sweaty and thinking, yeah, you should add like, snare roll in your Rust bar. No. And actually that's why I love this book, because this book is for all artists, okay? And we as producers sometimes are forgetting that we are actually creating kind of an art, like music is considered an art. We have this too much, we're thinking about creating those beats too much about like creating, building a fridge or something like that. Okay, we have too much of this mindset. This book completely destroys this mindset. It gives you kind of new look on this whole thing. And by the way, I thought that because of that, it will not give me like proper like ideas for making better beats, but man, I was so fucking wrong. I was so wrong. Because you're reading 100 pages and you will only hear about some soulful stuff that you should see some sunlight, you should be happy with your life. But then you read like 2 pages and you have like your mind is fucking like your mind is burning, man. Okay, because you have some one simple advice and just makes your beats so much better. For example, advice from Rick Rubin is that sometimes you should understand the core of your beat, which is understanding what is the most important part of your beat. There was also this advice on breaking the rules, but also understanding your rules. Like I couldn't there is no way of summing up all those advices in like a few minutes. So by the way, I don't want to do this in this video, because if I just give you those advices like in a few minutes, you will actually not understand what is the point of them. But generally, it will give you some like kind of really weird but also really effective ideas, okay? It will improve your production in general, okay? It will not give you idea like you should put more snares into your beats, okay? You should do this kind of sound selection, because you will not find something like that. But if you want to get more creative with your production, more effective, more creative, more happy with your beats and also with your life, by the way, this book is like really, really good for that, okay? Okay, another must read for every producer is Deep Work. I think that the first page looks a little bit different in English version, but generally it's called Deep Work from Cal Newport. Okay, there is also interview with him on Andrew Huberman channel, so I can also give you a link, because a guy is also I really love this guy, because he's this like PhD professor on I think Stanford University, and he also makes those books that are just on this book is specifically on being productive. Okay, but generally, okay, so what is deep work? Maybe I will explain it. Deep work, in this, like he's explaining that we have like 2 types of work in general. We have like shallow work that we could use while listening to music, while doing something in the background. So let's say shallow work is you just making grocery list. So you could watch some YouTube video in the background and make a grocery list. But if we make beats, if we make business plan, if we are writing a book, if we are creating some content, it's specifically deep work. Okay, I'm doing deep work right now, because if I play, let's imagine that I'm playing, let's say, TV in the background, that I'm watching here some fucking TV, or I have AirPods and I'm listening to the music, like it would be ridiculous. Okay, the same thing goes for making beats. Okay, you also should be as focused as I am right now while you make those beats, and that's why I think it's so important for producers. I think if we were doing some gay business model, let's say we will do some fucking crypto trading, you do some investing. Yeah, you could do that, play some fucking music in the background and pretend that you're productive, but we need to just sit for a few hours and make proper beats. And what's important in this book, it will make you understand that you can't produce for more than 4 hours. 4 hours. So if you want one takeaway from this book, you should produce beats for no more than 4 hours. And if you're beginner, it's more like 2 hours. And now if you can't finish the beat in 2 hours, there's another problem. But the problem is not amount of your work, the problem is like quality of your work. So in this book, you will understand how to outwork other producers doing actually less work than them, okay? Literally, this book, if you apply, because I already was really productive while reading that, so it wasn't like this total fucking mind-blowing thing, okay? Because I already knew that, yeah, you need to be offline, you don't use your phone while producing, you're not watching something in the background, so it wasn't so mind-blowing. But if I like read it like few years before, whoa, man, it would fucking crazy to read that. Because if you kind of guy who is watching some YouTube in the background, who is talking on friends on Discord and making beats, who is, you know, maybe listening to some other music in the background, you get distracted so easily. This book is like your best tool that you could possibly find in the internet to just improve your beats. You will literally, if you apply all those rules, you will make better beats and more beats in those 4 hours per day, and you will do 20 hours of straight producing, okay? So that's kind of so yeah, this is for better focus, better quality of work, and generally optimizing your life for better work, okay? Because it's not like you can just, you know, go back from the, you know, party, drunk as fuck, and maybe take some drugs and then sit and do deep work. No, you kind of need to optimize your life for deep work. This book is all about it, okay? Now, one of the, like, kind of my early choices of like self-improvement, okay? This is something that I don't recommend just to producers. If you are not a producer and you're watching this for some reason because I know I'm just so charismatic and handsome and you're just excited to watch this anyway, you should anyway read this book, okay? If you don't want to be a producer, like, don't maybe read Rick Rubin. If you don't want to be a producer, deep work could also be beneficial, but this book is proper for every kind of career, even if you want to be, I don't even know what, okay? I've read it like in the PDF already like 3 years ago when I was a beginner at the self-improvement, and I've read it in this paper form, I think 2 times more, because this book is just so good. Generally, in the nutshell, it is the best tool to build connections with other people. It will teach you how to just create better connections, how to create better relationships, okay? And and with people you know, and also with people you don't know. And now let's go back to producing. If you're a producer, the best thing that we can do, and by the way, this is the thing I teach the most in my program, in my method generally for selling beats, you need to create relationships with rappers. That's that's like the best way simply to make your beats, to make your proper paycheck, to go full time into producing. If you don't create relationships with rappers, if they don't like you and you don't like them, they will just stop buying beats from you at some point. But if you will become literally, they like friend, they're like co-worker, they're business partner, and they will consider you a friend, like from this book, How to Influence and Influence People. You will literally just call them and ask them, yo bro, do you need some beats? He will tell you, yeah, I'm making an album. Yo, do you want to buy, 2 beats for $200? Yeah, sure. Boom, we have $200, mate. By the way, that's how I make money, and that's how I teach you how to make money. So you can go into first link in the description, by the way. We'll get into it too later. So generally, this book is for better relationships. So with people you already know, but also with people you don't already know. So if you want to do some cold outreach, maybe you want to get girls through cold approach, that's also proper book. If you want to just improve your connections with rappers you know, that's a good book. If you want to do some cold outreach on Instagram, you want to go on calls with rappers you don't know, that's a good book. If you want to make any connection with other human fucking being, that's a good book, okay? So just this, okay, maybe you don't want to read Rick Rubin. I can understand it. You don't read deep work because your quality of work is not that bad. I could accept it, but this book is must read. Even if you are the most social guy in the fucking world, if you like fuck new bitch every 5 days, you still read this book because this is so good, okay? Okay, now I will show you another banger book, but this is more specific. This is To Sell is Human, okay? So this is book generally on selling, but like there's like million books on selling. I have read like a lot of them. I have Psychology of Selling by Brian Tracy, Sell Like Challenger by this one guy. I've read like a lot of courses, videos, books too. Like, but this one I think is the best because it's really short. It's like 200 pages plus, but you have all necessary information about selling here, because you don't have some bullshit like how to create your sales team. Yeah, we are producers making $20 per beat. Like, chill. We will not create sales team. We will not talk about selling $2,000 worth of stuff. No, this is actually how to just make our offers like more attractive. Like in simple terms, okay? It will teach you how to make better presentation with just one sentence, okay? So I love this book because it doesn't teach you some fucking complex methods. Yeah, you should get a number from a prospect, you should meet him at the restaurant and then talk to him for 2 fucking months. No, it will just teach you how to make your offer for, let's say, instead of just telling people, I offer $50 MP3 release. Now you will understand how to actually talk about those leases, about those offers in a way that will get attention of other people, Jesus Christ. So you'll have, I read it like a while ago, so I can't like give you all specific points from this book, but yeah, generally the beginning is just talking, it's more about the beginning is kind of a BS, but then you just get like really specific points, okay? So for example, how to do a kind of Twitter pitch, so how to generally get somebody's attention in like with 200 letters, okay? You will teach how to attract somebody with like literally one sentence, okay? So this is like the best book on selling I've probably read. Like, for example, Brian Tracy made this book, Psychology of Selling, which is so fucking long, with so fucking detailed. And it's not that bad, but comparing to this is like 10 times better, okay? I would rather you read this book 10 times than just read 10 other books on selling, literally. Maybe I will find another really good book on sales, but this is something up to date. This is not some technique from like 80s, from fucking Jordan Belfort, how to sell, I know, some stock shares. No, this is something that is, you can apply it in every business, specifically in selling beats. You will just improve on conversion ratio of people from texting you to people buying from you. So you just go and read this book, man. And now I need to confess that I don't have a book number 5 because I have read it back in days in some PDF. It was, I think, something like 2 years ago at this point. And it is Mixing Engineer's Handbook, okay? And what can I tell you about this book? This is the best book on, like, I will be honest, I've read only one book on mixing. Generally, there is not so many books like that are specifically for music producers and sound engineers, honestly. There is a bunch of them, but really, like, because I was always trying to find more specific books for me, but a lot of them are not available, for example, in Poland or in Europe. The first problem. Other thing, there is really not so many of them, okay? But this one specific book, I remember that it will not teach you this style of producing for us FL Studio Beats producers. And so at first you will start reading that and you will think, yeah, this guy is talking about some complete BS, because for example, you learn how to record the acoustic guitar, how to mix acoustic guitar recorded by 3 fucking microphones, some expensive as studio. But when you dig into it, when you focus on some specific points, specific chapters, you can really get a lot out of this book. And I don't think that I even read the whole book, because at some point you get to that how to mix some fucking, some foreign instrument in some, when you're using some samples and basic synthesizers, and this book is not really all that, okay? So I wouldn't like to go too much with this approach that you need to get this whole specific details, because to be honest, we as producers that we are just making beats and uploading them to YouTube, we don't need all this knowledge, but it will make you understand the basics, okay? Because the most important thing, you will understand how to actually use some compression, how to use saturation, and when you shouldn't use it, and by also how to properly use frequencies, okay? So you will kind of understand the science, and because when you go on YouTube and you look for some mixing tips, mixing advice, people give you some specific, cut at 200 hertz. What the fuck? I hate those advice, because like specific frequency range is specific for every instrument, for every situation, for every specific mix. Sometimes cutting and 500 hertz is nice, sometimes it's not. And it's not like you can get some one proper rule. So I don't recommend watching YouTube mix videos. Just read Mixing Engineer's Handbook and you will understand how to actually do stuff. And then you will get actually some proper nuanced advice. What should you do with, for example, mixing like guitar, mixing a piano, mixing drums, how to use parallel compression, how to use saturation, okay? Generally, after this like, by the way, the bottom line of Mixing Engineer's Handbook is just do less with your mixing. You definitely will need some frequency work with parametric EQ. You may need some compression, and you will understand how to use reverb and delay. Okay, like the really important point from this book is, a lot of people think that if they want to make something less, like, sound less hard, they should put there like delay, because it makes things softer, because it's like more visible effect, more than reverb. Okay, you can hide reverb easier than delay, but actually putting reverb makes things kind of softer, and when you put delay, it stays more hard. It's hard to explain sound only with words, but generally that's really, like, this is kind of advice that you will get from this book. It will make your basics better. Don't expect some advice on, you should buy some Saturn plugins. Like, no, you will not get advice on some new stuff, because like, even if you have some, I think that I had really old version that was really like, advice was kind of even before FL Studio was the thing. But it doesn't really matter, okay? Because you will understand the basics, it will generally improve your mixes. And because I don't have all my 5 books, I had to give you some extra. I had to give you extra point, which is Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker, Dr. Matthew Walker. Why We Sleep, okay? And why I want to give you this, because most producers have this ridiculous mindset with producing at 5, with producing till late night, sleeping 2 hours, then drinking 20 coffees, some energy drinks, and it will destroy your life. Like, it will, at first you will not succeed doing this kind of work, because it may work for some period of time when you still can maintain it, but at some point, after a few weeks, few months, you get burned out because of bad sleep. And this book will literally teach you how to sleep. And for other guys, like generally for young ambitious guys wanting to make it in producing, but in other industries too, by the way, learning how to sleep properly is just so fucking important. Like, we spend a fair, 33% of our life sleeping, okay, let's say on average 8 hours. Like, it's so important. Like, imagine that you're doing something for 8 hours every day. Like, you would love to make it as productive, as effective as possible, but we sleep for 8 hours and we think that, it will kind of work. So yeah, this book will give you like all necessary advice on just living better life with better sleep. Okay, so I really want you to read this book, because like, it's not some like productivity book, some better sales, better beats book, but it will improve your life, and if your life gets better, your beats will also get better. So this kind of extra book from me. And I've got actually another extra book, just one thing, and this book will stop you from getting distracted. Generally, this book is from One Thing, Gary Keller, Jay Papasan, interesting surname. Generally, this book, in the answer, because it is kind of extra, so I already done my top 5, but generally this book will just teach you that 90% of things you do is like bullshit. Okay, it will make you understand that usually there is only one thing that you should do, and you should focus on that, and you need to like develop the skill of finding this one thing. Okay, it kind of sounds vague and like is like bullshit internet coaching type of thing, but no, actually book is really good. It will teach you how to find one thing that will give you the best results. Okay, so for us producers, by the way, it's making beats, so I can give you like the quick bottom line, but a lot of producers fall for that they are, for example, making YouTube type business, but they then do cold outreach, then they switch to TikTok, they try to send emails, maybe they will do some paid ads, but literally the only thing that we need to do is producing beats and putting them on one platform. Okay, so this book should stop you from spreading your attention between unimportant tasks. Okay, so just One Thing by Gary Keller. All these other books, if you read all these books, you will get to like top 1% of producers like this year, probably, if you read them next month. So yeah, read it. Like, you don't really need any more books. I don't think that I would like recommend you anything more. If you just want to stick to producing beats and sending them online, this is like more than enough. You can just read those like few books in a loop for next year. It's really pretty good idea. Okay, so if you want to like get more advice from it, if you want to know more about making better beats, selling beats in a better way, more efficient way, you can go watch my other videos and subscribe me here on YouTube. Okay, so that's all for today. Bye.